What's up, you data friends? It's Yanis here and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to go over a practical Excel test assessment, which is what you see on the screen over here. We are going to go over question by question and we are going to explain the methodology and thinking behind the answer. And before we start this video, let me just say that if you're passionate about data analytics and data science, then please consider liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and enable notifications for my future videos. Right, starting from our raw data, as soon as you get your Excel test, the first thing you should do is to quickly scan your raw data, just so you can understand it a bit more. So as you can see over here, we have some cars info data. So we have the make of the car, the model of the car, we have the MSRP, which is like the manufacturer's retail price of the car, the actual price of the car, which as you can see in most of the cases is the same with the retail price, the body size, the body style, the horsepower, and the highway fuel economy. Now, if you have any questions about, let's say, MSRP, you don't know what MSRP is, on some tests, they allow you to ask questions, but if they don't, you're gonna have to make an assumption and work with it. The next thing you should do is that you should go over your instructions. They say, finish the below test in 15 minutes and return the final Excel back to us. And as you can see, we have about 5 questions, which means we have about 3 minutes per question, which is important to keep in mind. Right, starting with the first question, I'm just going to copy it and paste it down here. It says, create a distinct column per make and model and show the average horsepower. Right, to do this, I'm just going to move this down here. It's basically asking us to concatenate these two columns together. So I'm going to copy the name, paste it over here. It's make and then dash model, which is our new distinct column. I've pasted this twice, yeah, like this. I'm going to change the color to maybe light blue, so we know it's a new column that we are creating. We are going to say equals concat, open brackets, select this one, comma, and then maybe a dash, comma, and then our second column, close brackets, there we go. It says Audi and then SQ8 Sportsback e-tron. If I double click, it's going to repeat the same thing. Let me make this a bit bigger, right? Let me move this a bit down. Now we need to show the average horsepower. However, horsepower is actually text. So we have to extract the number from this column. And to do this, I'm going to copy this, paste it over here, say horsepower NO, once, yep, like this. Equals, I'm going to do left, then I'm going to select the horsepower, comma 3, close brackets, there we go. So we have the horsepower now, and we actually need to convert this into a value if we want to apply aggregations on it. So sum, average, count, mean, and max. So I'm going to say value, then close brackets, then double click. I'm also going to do format painter, so we have the same color for this column too. And now we need to have the average horsepower per make and model. And to do this, we basically have to create a pivot table. So I'm just going to select all of our data to insert pivot tables. I want to add it in the existing worksheet, which is over here. Click OK. In the pivot table, I'm going to drag make and model into rows, and I'm going to drag the horsepower number into values. And I'm going to change this into average. As you can see over here, click OK. I'm going to select all of these. I'm going to make it a number and then reduce the decimal places. And there we go. Now we have the average horsepower per make and model, which is basically our first question. Let me move this over here. I'm going to edit this pivot table to not autofit, so we don't get new adjustments every time we move something. And then, right, that's it. We've completed the first question in less than 3 minutes. Right, moving to our second question now. It says, create a new column that shows if a car has more than 3000 RPM or not. And as you can see, RPM comes from this horsepower column over here. So we're going to have to clean this column first and then create a condition that says yes or no if it has more than 3000 RPM. I'm just going to copy our question quickly and then paste it over here so we know when it's done. And then I'm going to select all of these and make it a bit smaller so we have more space. And over here, I'm going to say horsepower RPM because we are going to extract the RPM. We are going to conditionally format this, or maybe like this, sorry. Yeah, and over here, we need to clean our horsepower and extract the RPM. To do this, I'm going to use a combination of Excel formulas. I'm going to start with meat. I'm going to say equals meat. Then select the starting text, which is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, comma, and then I'm going to take 6 characters. What did I do? Oh, I need to select the actual, cell first, comma, 8, comma 6. Yeah, click OK. So I don't want the add, so I'm going to take 9 maybe. There we go, 9, and then expand. There we go. So for some of them, it worked very well. You can see it's a clean number. But for some of them that have 0, we also have the RPM text. So we have to remove that. To do it, I'm going to use substitute. So I'm going to say substitute, yeah, like this. Open brackets, yeah, fine. So this text, comma, I'm going to select the RPM. And I'm going to replace it with empty, like this. Click enter. Nice. So now we have 0. You can see remove the RPM. There you go. We remove the RPM. And now I also want to turn this into value so I can apply aggregations on them. So I'm going to say equals value and then close brackets. There we go. Click enter. And now we have a value. The next thing we should do is to create our new column to show if the, over here, is to create our new column to show if the car has more than 3000 RPM. So I'm just going to say more than 3K RPM, click enter, make this a bit bigger. And I'm just going to say equals if, and then open brackets, this number is more than 3000, comma, say yes, yes, comma, otherwise we're going to say no, close brackets, actually no in quotes, like this, enter. There we go, no, and then if I drag this, it's going to say yes for this. Yeah, basically all of our cars have more than 3000 RPMs, except for the ones that have 0. Now, I'm going to make this look a bit nicer, so I'm just going to select all of this quickly. Look at this. Our pivot table is auto-adjusting. Why does it do that? I removed the auto-fit. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I need to make this look a bit nicer, so I'm going to make this, then select everything. Then I'm going to do like this, wrap text, so it fits better. And then I'm going to make this a bit smaller, make a bit smaller. Actually, the ID key is bigger because we are displaying everything in the pivot table, which is fine. And then make our horsepower a bit smaller, like this. We can also make it look a bit nicer. So we can actually select maybe the dotted lines, like this, and then make all the table add borders everywhere like this. There we go, much nicer. It's actually one of our questions to make the table and deliverables presentable to the business. I'm doing it now, some of it, but you can also finish the whole test, and then in the time you have remaining, you can make everything look a bit nicer. Right, one more thing we can do over here is we can conditionally format this column. We can say equals if the column is equal to, I'm going to start with no, because light red is over there, actually no, like this. Then we're going to have light red, and we can add another condition. If it's equal to yes, we are going to make it green, this one over here, click OK. So now we also have a conditional format on this column. Right, moving on to our next question. It says, show the total invoice price per make and model and the average torque in a new summary table. Make it presentable. So what this question is asking us is to basically create a pivot summary table. So it's a pivot table that's basically a summary. Let me paste this. Why does it not paste? Yep, like this. Right, let me move this a bit over here. This one has been completed, so I'm just going to say completed, enter. Insert another column here so they have a separation. Right, to do this now, we need to identify the columns we are going to use. So we're going to need invoice price, make, model, and average torque. So make, model, invoice price, which is not in our data set. We only have price, but we actually have invoice price in another Excel sheet. So we're going to have to do a VLOOKUP and bring this column in our main data set in order to do this question. We also need to do the average torque. So torque is not in our data set either. So torque is over here in another Excel sheet, and it's also not a number, it's a text. So we need to VLOOKUP torque to, we need to clean torque, and then we need to create the pivot table. Right, to do this, we're going to go back in our main data set over here. We're going to start by joining the invoice price. So I'm just going to copy this, go over here, paste it over here as a new column, click enter, and then click equals VLOOKUP. Let me move it over here, VLOOKUP, yeah, like this. Now we need to select the column that is the key that we're going to use to join them together. In our case is ID, then comma, then we're going to go over into invoice price, select our range. Actually, let's select this, log it down with F4, comma, we want to take 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, comma, and then 1 for an exact match. Click enter, and now we have the invoice price. Let's make this as dollars so it looks nicer, like this. There we go, remove decimals. The next thing we need is the torque, which is over here. So again, we are going to do, let's copy the column actually, torque, the column name, paste it over here like this, equals VLOOKUP, lookup, open brackets, select our ID, which is this one, comma, go over to torque, select our range, lock this down, comma, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, comma, 1 for an exact match, enter. There we go, we have the torque. Now we want to make this a bit bigger, and this one too. Now we want to extract the number from torque, so I'm just going to copy this, paste it over here, and then say torque NO, which is the number, and I'm going to say equals left, and then select the torque, comma, 3, so we can extract the number. And I also want to do value, so we can apply aggregations on it. So value, close bracket, enter, and then double click. There we go, we have the torque. Now I'm just going to select everything and add the dotted lines. Right, coming back to our question now, we need to create a pivot table so we can summarize these two new columns by make and model. To do this, we can either copy paste the existing pivot table or create a new one. So I'm going to follow the approach of copying and pasting the pivot table so I can also show you how to update the range. If you go over into pivot table analyze, you can actually change the data source. And as you can see, this pivot table finishes up until horsepower NO. However, the columns we need are these two over here. So we are going to select a new range. We're basically going to update the range of the pivot table. Click OK. Now it's updated. Now we can copy our pivot table, paste it down here. And now we want to have the make, remove the make model. We want to have the model, remove the average horsepower. We want to have the total invoice price. So invoice price needs to be a sum, that's fine. And we also want to have the average torque. So torque NO, put it here, change this to average, okay, there we go. The question also says, make it presentable. And this form is not actually presentable. I don't like this form. We need this to be more in a flat file. So what we can do is that we can go over to design. We can remove the subtotals, we can show it in a tabular form, much nicer. And we can also repeat all items, so we fill the missing items like this. Next, we can make this more presentable by expanding this. There we go, so everything is visible. And we can also select it, and then maybe let's change the color to this green. And we can also apply some conditional formatting maybe on the invoice price by going over into where is it? It's conditional format. There we go, yes. And we can add maybe the solid fill or gradient fill. I think this is much nicer. There we go. So now it's a lot more presentable versus the original pivot table that we created. Right, moving on to the next question. Let's copy it and paste it down here. So copy, paste down here. It says, create a scatter plot that shows the price versus horsepower per make as legend. Make it look nice. Right, this is a very challenging one now because scatter plots in Excel, they are very manual, but let's try it. They are very manual when you try to add a legend. Let me correct this. So we need to select the price, and we also need to select the horsepower and all, and we need to go into insert, and then we need to add a scatter plot like this. However, we want this scatter plot to be by make. So if I add the legend quickly and I show you like this, you can see it's only one legend, which is the horsepower number. What we need to do is to edit it to have all the makes over here. And to do this, well, you need to have very good knowledge of Excel visualizations. So we need to do select data. We need to edit the legend entries. I'm going to start by Audi. So the first one is going to be Audi. And then I'm going to select the range for Audi. So I'm going to remove all these. Audi's price, which is X, is these two, correct? And then Audi's Y values is these two. Click OK. Now we have Audi. Now we need to repeat the same process for all makes. So I'm going to add a new one. This one is going to be the BM. The X values is going to be these three. And then the Y values is going to be these three. Click OK. Next one, Bentley. Then the Y value is going to be these two. And then the X value, the X value is going to be these two. And then the Y value for Bentley is going to be these two. Add a new one for Ford. X values for Ford, this 1, 2, 3. And then Y values for Ford, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next one is going to be Mercedes-Benz. X values 1, 2, 3. Y values 1, 2, 3. Okay, next one is going to be Nissan. X is going to be 1, 2. Y is going to be 1, 2. Is that correct? Let me see. Yeah, okay. Last one, Aston Martin. X is going to be these two, and then Y is going to be these two. Okay, okay. Now, if you can see, our legend is added, and it shows the price versus horsepower and all. If we add it over here, so this is the X, which is the horsepower. Then O, and this is the price. There we go. So if I move this down here below the question, there we go. Now we can also add the title, and the title is price versus horsepower per make. Copy this, paste it over here once, let's say per, and then make. We are actually making it look nice now, which is part of our question. We can select this and add a color maybe. So let's do dark blue. We can move the legend to be in the bottom like this, so we have more space. Now it looks much nicer. Right, and the last question now, it says make the table and deliverables presentable to the business, which we have done part of this question. So we have actually changed, the coloring. We have added the dotted lines. We have some conditional formatting, which is over here. Something else we can do is that we can add maybe the filter. So we give the business the ability to filter our data. We can add some more conditional formatting. So we can make the prices actually, well, before we do that, we can make the prices into dollars, so it looks nicer. We can add some data bars over here in the price of the car, like this. so it looks nicer. We can actually add the totals or the averages. So over here we can say totals slash averages, well, slash average, maybe average, like this. Click enter. Let's insert one more line so it's cleaner. This one, I'm gonna do this, add the dotted lines, make it bold, maybe a bit bigger, like this. And then we can add the total, so equals, well, I don't know if it's total or average, but I'm gonna go with total. So I'm just gonna say sum, like this, open bracket, select the range, there we go, close range, and we can repeat the same for this one. What else is a value? Invoice price is a value. That's it. And then for the rest, we can also do average. So we showcase that we know how to do this. Average. By the way, you do all these in whatever time you have remaining. You try to make it as nice as possible. We can select all of these and then remove, well, make it number, and then like this, copy, paste, do the same. So make this a number, like this, there we go, much nicer. And then torque, we can do the same with torque, like this, the average torque. What else? I think it looks much nicer now. What else? I think this is it. I think it looks very nice now and presentable to the business. Our deliverables, this looks very nice, this is very nice. Maybe we can also make this one look a bit nicer. So we can select it, we can go over into design, change the color, change maybe this into, or we can adjust the width maybe, so everything fits like this, much nicer. Yeah, so our deliverable is very nice and we've answered all of our Excel questions. Right, let me know in the comments below how long it took you to complete this test. I think this one is a bit difficult one. You have to move very fast and you have to know Excel very well. But this is the third one of our test. If you feel you cannot complete this in time, then maybe go back and do the other tests, or maybe do like more tutorials to learn more about Excel, pivot tables and VLOOKUPs and visualizations, so you know how to move fast. If you've enjoyed this video, please click that like button, subscribe to my channel and enable notifications for my future videos. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching and I'm going to see you in the next video.